welcome to the A.D.H.Deep-Dive, the show that's not about ADHD, but is filled with proof it exists. My name is David J. Mund. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. I just really wanted to say that. That was literally all I wanted to say in this podcast, because I think that is the funniest fucking thing to come out of that entire debate. I have to imagine you guys watched the debate, or have at least seen clips. And this episode is not going to be all about the debate. It's not going to be all political. I'm just coming off the heels of still finding that incredibly funny. I've talked about it in the podcast before, but I don't particularly enjoy either candidate. I do have my preference and will be voting. I mean, I don't even really care about saying it out loud that I will be voting for Kamala Harris in November, but also, like, I'm not stoked about it. I haven't been hyped to vote once. I think in the primaries, I was really excited to vote for Bernie Sanders. I was also very naive in thinking that there was a shot that he would ever be allowed to be the major candidate or the primary candidate, whatever, the candidate for either major political party. I know most of you listening, in fact, hardly any of you listening are listening for the first time, but I think, again, it's probably pretty important for me to say that this is the show that's not about ADHD, but is filled with proof it exists. Especially on these solo episodes where I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, bro. I just need I felt this burning desire to do a podcast today, but this lighting is a little bit off. Let me shift it real fast. That's better enough. I am wearing pants, but they're also way too big pajama pants. As soon as this podcast wraps, I'm hopping in the shower and then heading out for work. But I don't know. I just wanted to do a podcast today. And this morning, I was like half between sleep and waking up. My first alarm had gone off, so I'm kind of in that groggy, like, oh, I need to wake up, but I don't want to. I'm so cozy mode. And then I heard, which as a pet owner, you probably know that was the sound of my dog vomiting. Oh, what a horrific sound. Oh my God. The like pounding, whatever adjectives you can use to describe that sound. It's disgusting. Not just because it's a disgusting, like, intestinal sound, but also, like, you know what's coming. You know that in the next 30 seconds, you're going to be cleaning up vomit. And that happened. So as soon as you hear that sound, you just shoot yourself up to try and steer them away from any of your stuff that you don't want vomit all over. I don't want vomit all over the floor, but I'd rather have vomit on the hardwood floor than all over my clothes that I forgot to toss in the laundry basket. Speaking of things all over the floor, my office is a mess, and I don't find it particularly appropriate for you to judge the state of my office. So don't. Just ignore it. I literally just toss the camera on the tripod, shift stuff around in the office, toss a couple of lights up, and then go. When there's guests, I'm a little more particular in the way that I organize the space, especially if there's an in-person guest. But like I said, it's been 2 weeks since I've done an episode. I kind of just wanted to do an episode. But yeah, no, I was awoken this morning by the sound of a dog about to vomit, and he didn't throw up that much, but it's never a pleasant sound, never a pleasant experience. So I didn't really have this great transition. I didn't have a great transition between sleep and being awake. I was just shooting myself right up out of bed. And so now I'm eating the dogs. I'm eating the cats. I'm eating the pets of the people that live there. Yeah, that debate, man. First of all, it's probably going to be the only debate. I cannot imagine that either candidate is going to be interested in doing another because they're both going to declare that they won. And while, yes, I do think Kamala Harris was technically better in that debate and did, quote unquote, win the debate, she's still so bad, man. Like, and the issue is, now I'm not a big enough podcast to have haters. Every once in a while I'll have haters in the comments of the like YouTube shorts that I post, because the YouTube shorts I'll post will get like hundreds and hundreds of views, maybe thousands, which still is not that much comparatively to a larger audience on YouTube or whatever. But I won't get haters in the full episodes of the podcast comments, but I'll get them in the YouTube shorts. I just said that. What I'm trying to say is I'm not big enough to have haters, but haters would say that, like, what do you do? You're talking bad about Kamala Harris. What do you want, Trump to win? No, but if you're like sycophantic in supporting one candidate, you're pretty much the same as the Trump people in like their obsession with a candidate. Like, we shouldn't be. Now, I'm just to be clear, I was guilty of this during the whole Bernie Sanders movement. We shouldn't be obsessed with politicians because neither party is going to really do much. And if they, so much as they do stuff, they don't stand for much. Politicians will say whatever they can to get elected. And I just see that very transparently in Kamala Harris. One second, I need to fix something in the camera. All right, y'all. If you're watching the video version, see that skull? See this? This is not a punk house, it's a punk home banner. All of these things are available at catandcrew.com. That's right. They're the first sponsors. Catandcrew.com. Enter the promo code MONDAY. It's Monday, MUNDAY, to receive 10% off of your final purchase. You can get those koozies, you can get banners, you can get earrings, you can get coasters, you can get skull planters. I think it's really cool that they decided to give ADH.Deep-Dive listeners an exclusive deal, because, it's cool that we're building a little audience here and that you guys get to have some sort of special perks that nobody else gets. So if you aren't familiar with it yet, go to catandcrew.com, enter the promo code MONDAY, MUNDAY at checkout, get 10% off your final order. Okay, back to the show. Anyway, yeah, I don't particularly love, whoa, my chair just went down. I don't particularly love Kamala Harris. I didn't particularly love Joe Biden. I definitely didn't love Hillary Clinton. I came to learn that Obama was not really that much worth liking, but I did vote for them all. And I'm going to vote again, because in an election that's about the lesser of two evils, technically, there is a lesser of the two evils. The annoying part is that happens every single election. And yeah, when you see pushback on like criticizing Kamala Harris, like, it's okay to not love her. It's okay to not believe her. And it's okay to vote against her. Just to be clear, this is a democracy. I don't agree with you knowing that you're probably going to vote for Donald Trump. I don't really love the guy. Obviously, I think that he is most of the things that he is declared to be: a narcissist, a threat to democracy, obnoxious. But I think that's the bigger threat, is that he is obnoxious. And like, do we really want to talk about this guy still? He's been around for the better part of a decade in our modern political sphere, but he's been like, we've known about this guy for decades. I mean, he's been famous since before I was born, Like, it's just time to just forget about this guy. He hasn't done anything for you. He hasn't done anything for us. But it's also okay to say that Kamala still sucks. And she's fake. And she's code switching. I didn't expect to go on this much of a rant about politics, but when you come into a podcast not knowing what you're going to talk about, it's really easy to just talk about politics. Anyways, that debate, the last debate was the debate that ultimately pushed Joe Biden out of the race, which I guess, when you look at it, it's really good that happened when it did, because if it would have happened just 2 months later, it would have been too late. And Joe Biden, in my opinion, would have definitely lost. It is a 50-50 right now with Kamala Harris. Yeah, there's a lot of momentum, but she does not have this locked up. But Taylor Swift did just endorse her, so means she's got my vote. Just kidding. I mean, I probably will still end up voting for Kamala Harris. In fact, I think that I know I will be voting for Kamala Harris. I'm not going to be voting for Donald Trump. Definitely not going to be voting for RFK, even though he is now a Trump surrogate, which I think is just the most transparent. I don't know. Whatever. I'm going to save my thoughts on RFK for another time, but I'm not voting for him. I'm not voting third party. I'm going to vote for the person I think could win. And I think that's probably Kamala Harris, with it being 50-50. But Taylor Swift officially gave her endorsement. Gosh, this freaking camera, dude. This camera's giving me so much grief. Maybe we'll talk about that in a minute. Let me actually make a little note about that camera. Oh, cool. I just erased all of my notes for the podcast. Oh, no. Please, no. Please, no. Don't you shake a phone to... Oh, God. Oh, no. Okay. I didn't delete all my notes. I just opened a new note. The show that's not about ADHD, it's filled with proof it exists. Anyways, Taylor Swift endorsed Kamala Harris. And the conversation that you see online is in the same way that we are as a country, a 50-50 split. Some people are like, I think even last time when she endorsed Joe Biden, it was the single biggest day of voter registration, yada, yada, whatever. There's a lot of people who take their cues from their favorite celebrity. And not that I think that there was that many people who were on the fence. Basically, the way that I have viewed this is that there's not many people who are trying to decide between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. They're either definitely voting for Donald Trump, or they're in this camp where they might vote Kamala, they might not vote. Which I still think is your right to do so. Anybody who says if you don't vote, you can't complain. I'm going to complain, and there's nothing you can do about it. I am voting, but if I didn't, I would complain. And I think that's fine. But yeah, same thing here. I think either a couple 100,000 or a couple tens of thousands of people registered to vote as soon as Taylor Swift gave her endorsement, which... Is it really that shocking that Taylor Swift endorsed Kamala Harris? I got no hate for Taylor Swift. I know that, she receives that female pop celebrity hate that has existed for decades in our culture. Anytime a successful woman in the music industry blows up, people are rooting for their demise. I've always, I'm sure as a young boy, I contributed to that with the Lady Gaga or the Britney Spears or the whatever. But now it's just let them do their thing, man. They're making music. They're not hurting anybody. I mean, maybe you don't like their music, and that's fine. I'm not a Swiftie. I don't listen to Taylor Swift's music. But the hits, I know peripherally. I've heard them. What's she doing? There's nothing wrong with that. But I do find it strange that people take their cues from celebrities. Because, in the same way that politicians don't care about you, celebrities don't really care about you. I'm sure that there is a minority of very famous individuals who, appreciate their fans for having supported them or whatever. But as soon as you hit that, multimillionaire or billionaire status, you have forgotten about the people who got you where you are. That is my assumption. Obviously, I don't have millions or billions, so I can't know for sure. Although, as an aside, and maybe I feel like a douche for even talking about this, especially in this way, I don't really necessarily believe in the power of manifestation. I do believe, and I'm trying to remind myself, that we control our thoughts. We are not our thoughts, but we control our thoughts. And maybe feelings come and go, but feelings are not thoughts and thoughts are not feelings. You can have thoughts about feelings and you can have feelings about thoughts, but they're not the same thing. But while not totally believing in the power of manifestation, I do believe that if you have a central focus, it is more likely that you are going to accomplish whatever task you are centrally focused on. But if you continue to tell yourself, I will not accomplish this, there's no way this will ever happen, it is more likely that you will not accomplish it and this will never happen. So I'm trying to switch into this I will be this, I will do this, I can do this, I can be this mentality, where I'm saying these things out loud. So on the days that I'm upset about any X number of things, I'm working on something that I'm writing right now, which I'm actually really excited to talk to you guys about in the future. There's a thing that I'm keeping close to the chest that I have not been able to talk about yet. That is it is literally, I am currently working on the biggest creative endeavor of my entire career. This will be a milestone in my career, but I can't talk about it quite yet. Anyways, when I'm working on writing this thing, I'm oftentimes my intuition is to say, I can't do this. I'm not good enough for this. It's imposter syndrome, right? I'm not good enough for this. I'm not the guy for this. I shouldn't be doing this. But I'm trying to physically out loud say, I can do this. I can make this happen. This will be awesome. And it's kind of helped me shift my actual view, even if in the moment when I'm saying it, I don't believe it. It's kind of helping me slowly convince myself that I actually can. Anyways, all that to say, one of those mantras that I've kind of pivoted to lately is, when going back to talking about the millions and billions of dollars, one of the things I've been trying to say lately out loud to myself, and I really am finding in this moment that I'm embarrassed to admit this out loud, because this is kind of vain and money's not everything and yada yada, but as a broke person, I will be a millionaire by the time I'm 35. I will be a millionaire by the time I'm 35. I will be a millionaire by the time I'm 35. That's 5 years from now. I have a lot of insane things that I could potentially do in my career between now and then. Is it likely that I will become a millionaire by the time I'm 35? Hell no. But gotta try, right? I'm not gonna stop trying. Everybody wants to be a millionaire, right? Well, maybe not everybody. And again, this is totally vain and really unacceptable to a certain degree, but whatever. We've got a little bit of transparency between you and I. So yeah, I'm just trying to tell myself that not only will I get out of this financial rut at a certain point, but things that are going to happen to me within my career, my creative, artistic career between now and the time I'm 35 will allow me to bridge the gap between being broke and financial stability. So maybe I'm not a millionaire by the time I'm 35, but I'm going to just keep saying that because I've been able to convince myself otherwise of other things just by saying it out loud. Isn't it nicer to just believe that I will be? So that by the time I'm 35, I'm man, I'm not a millionaire, but it was way better to believe for 5 years that I could be rather than think it's impossible. And then by the time I turn 35, maybe I say, holy shit, look at all those millions in the bank. Wasn't there something with Jim Carrey? Jim Carrey did that. Didn't he write himself a check? I think there's this story. The numbers are probably off, and maybe it wasn't even Jim Carrey, but I choose to believe that it was. I think he wrote himself a check for $20 million when he had nothing in the bank. And he's I'm going to cash this one day. And then he did. He went from being broke and unknown to doing a couple of big movies. He either did the Dumb and Dumber movie or Ace Ventura. and he wrote himself the check that he cashed. Maybe it wasn't 20 million, maybe it was 2 million. It was just a couple $1,000,000. Anyways, and then he was able to cash it. So, if you believe in yourself, there's a higher potential for being able to accomplish the things you're believing in yourself to do than if you think along the way, there's no way I'm making this happen. Where the fuck was I going with that? Something Taylor Swift endorsed Kamala Harris, and people, oh yeah, millionaires don't care about you. So by the time I'm a millionaire, I won't care about you. I take that back. I wish I wouldn't have said that. That was a joke for legal purposes and for credibility purposes. Later on down the line, when I become a millionaire and people think I don't care about them, I care about you. I'm different. I'm not like all those other millionaire celebrities. I'm a compassionate millionaire celebrity. Speaking of compassionate millionaire celebrities, this is the thing that I want to make sure that I shift the way that I talk about this here, because as you'll come to discover, I don't think anybody should care about this. But Dave Grohl is in the news, former drummer of Nirvana and frontman of the Foo Fighters. Basically, if you haven't seen the news, consider yourself lucky, because it's not relevant to your life. I think the story is that like Dave Grohl had an affair and the person that he slept with had a baby or was pregnant, and then he announced via the birth of the baby that, this was a baby out of wedlock or out of his marriage or whatever. Anyways, the reason I even bring that up is to say, in the same way that like you shouldn't really care what Taylor Swift's opinion is of the political sphere, you shouldn't give a fuck about Dave Grohl's personal life. Is it on paper problematic that he had an affair? Yeah. But like, whose fucking business is that? It's not mine. It's not yours. You can have opinions about it. You can even talk about it. I'm not here to tell you not to talk about it. It's just like, what does it matter to you or to me? Like, I don't know. Maybe I thought that I had some big grandiose opinion about why we shouldn't care. But here's me caring about whether or not you care. That's pretty lame of me, right? I'm not here to yuck your yum, but if your yum is complaining about celebrity gossip online, yuck. In sticking in the same vein of musical drama, Linkin Park is back. I'm pretty sure if John Kelly is listening to this, he'll want to weigh in his opinion on this, and maybe the next time John is on the podcast, he will weigh in on it. John is actually a very big Linkin Park fan. My understanding is that he was not a big fan of Linkin Park post Minutes to Midnight, but grew up as a Linkin Park fan. So he'll want to weigh in on this on the next time he's on the podcast, I'm sure. But they have a new lead singer. I think her name's like Sarah, maybe Amy, one of the two. Sarah? I think it's Sarah. If you're not familiar, in I think 2016, the lead singer of Linkin Park, Chester Bennington, died from suicide. Unrelated to the Linkin Park and Chester Bennington suicide drama. I found out in the last few months that Chester Bennington was the son of John Podesta, who was Hillary Clinton's campaign manager, and that just changed everything for me. So if you did not know, Chester Bennington, son of John Podesta, of the Podesta WikiLeaks emails, that blew my mind. But anyways, now, since then, apparently they had not released any new music. I know that like Mike Shinoda, the guy who does the rapping and some of the like softer singing, and I think he also plays guitar in the band, I think he had released music independently, but it was not under the Linkin Park name. So this is the first time that Linkin Park as a band has been together or has released new music since Chester's passing. The newest single that I heard, I think fucking rocks. I wasn't necessarily like a fan of Linkin Park, but I knew the hits and I actually did enjoy Minutes to Midnight. That was my first new Linkin Park album. I think I didn't know about Linkin Park until What I've Done came out. Which meant I was what? Hey Siri, when did Minutes to Midnight come out?
Minutes to Midnight was released on May 14th, 2007.
2007, right. So I was in middle school when that album came out. Anyways, I think it rocks. The new single rocks harder than more modern Linkin Park. But I understand that some people have strong opinions. They really valued Chester Bennington's not only writing, but his like public stances on mental health and depression and so on and so forth. I know that he touched a lot of lives, and some people have some opinions about whether or not a band should continue when the lead singer and identifiable voice passes away. But freaking AC/DC did it in like the 80s or whatever. The lead singer died. Everybody was like, there's no way they'll ever have a voice as iconic. And then the person who replaced him sounded exactly like him. I don't think that Sarah sounds exactly like him. Some of the like harder, grungy scream vocals that she does align with Chester Bennington's vocal register. But she's not the same person and never could be. I think where the controversy lies right now is, again, around things that I don't think I necessarily have opinions on. I know that, so a lot of the online pushback is that she is or was a Scientologist. I view Scientologists in the same way that I view Christians. They're all wrong. It's the same way as any other major religion. I think they're all wrong. Doesn't mean I'm right. Doesn't mean I have the answers. I don't. I am clueless. I just can't imagine that with the many, many religions that are out there, that any one particular religion has it all correct. And with Scientology, yeah, there's like a handful of documentaries about how they're corrupt and how they silence people and whatever. But doesn't every religion? Doesn't the Catholic Church? So like if this Sarah person was a Catholic, would people be freaking out? Probably not. But that's weird to me that we're like judging someone based on their one particular religion, or we're declaring as a person who doesn't know these people that this person is a thing because of their one particular religion. The only thing I think I know for certain is that they're just wrong. And then beyond that, my understanding is, so there's the character Hyde from That 70s Show. The actor Danny Masterson, who is a Scientologist, was accused and I believe found guilty of sexual assault or rape. Maybe if I'm going in the edit, I should do that thing where you censor that word, because as soon as you say it, you get like, whatever. I'm not going to be demonetized because I'm not even monetized, but whatever. Future David, beep that word. And apparently at the time she had like defended him. And then when she found out the truth of the story, she backed away and disavowed her support for him. So like people are allowed to be wrong, and we're supposed to applaud people when they're like, it's kind of the same thing with like the Trump people, right? Like the left and Democrats think that by shaming these people, and again, I was guilty of this, just to be clear. I am no saint. I'm merely evolved. Used to think that by shaming these people, that will convince them they're wrong and then whatever. But like that doesn't work. It just locks them in harder. So, like, we're supposed to kind of applaud people when they get it right. So if people change their mind or are willing to be open to new ideas, like, that's something we should be excited about. And again, I'm not really trying to go to bat for this person either. I don't know her. I do not know this Sarah person, and my focus is going out again. I hate this camera so much. I wish I could explain to you how it's like actually starting to have an effect on my career. I need a better camera. I have believed for years that it is not the camera, it's what you do with it. But this camera's just old and outdated and falling apart, and it's driving me up a fucking wall. But anyways, if you take the opinion of Taylor Swift as the word of God, same thing with Dave Grohl. If you follow this man to the ends of the earth, same thing with Sarah, or whatever the hell her name is, the new lead singer of Linkin Park. If you follow them and believe that they'll never get it wrong, you're gonna be disappointed every time. You know of these people. They do not know you. They don't have your best interest at heart. They don't really care about you. Doesn't mean that they're bad people. Doesn't mean that they don't care about their audience, but they don't know you. So to like follow their every word or to like put them up on this pedestal, you as an audience member will be disappointed. In the same way that if for whatever reason the 35-year-old David does become a famous millionaire celebrity, I imagine if I'm still doing a podcast, there will be plenty of people that listen to this podcast that I don't know, that I do appreciate and value and care about as a whole unit, but I don't know you. I'm pausing to reflect on if I should take that back or not. I'm different. And on that note, I think it's just going to be a short episode today. Let me clip real fast so I can look at some dates. Okay, so the only way I'll become a famous millionaire celebrity is if this music and film thing works out. So I think I just kicked the camera, which means now you can see more of my floor, and it's just so messy. Anyways, let's pitch some dates to you. But before I do that, can I please just beg of you one more time? Maybe I should be doing this every single episode. I just forget every time. Rate, review, subscribe to the podcast. If you listen on YouTube, hit subscribe. If you're not subscribed but you listen every week, you're fucking with my numbers. Hit subscribe. Give it a thumbs up. Maybe even turn on that notification bell. And then with Spotify, just give it 5 stars, you know? I think there's also Q&As now at the end of the podcast. Well, it's not a Q&A, but it basically gives you the opportunity to comment now. I think Spotify allows you to comment and engage with your listeners and audience directly. So leave a little comment. I don't think it's public when it's on Spotify. I think only I see it. But rate, review, subscribe, all that nonsense. And then for Midwest Skies purposes, if you're not familiar, hopefully you are. I'm in a band, pop punk, Midwest Skies, out of Grand Rapids. Between you and me, we've got some new music coming out. I'm not going to give you the exact date. I should. I'm not gonna. It's at the end of the month. The music is coming out at the end of the month. We've got some music videos to follow shortly thereafter. I don't have an official release date on the music videos. But I know that the song is coming out at the end of the month. And by the next episode, you will have a little bit of a teaser, I'm sure, for it. So if you want to hear it live, we've got a handful of dates here. October 3rd at Mulligan's Pub in Grand Rapids, we are playing with the bands Everything We're Not and The New Models. That is a Thursday evening. So if you can't make it out, I understand. You got work in the morning, so be it. If you do make it out, just remember you have work in the morning, so don't drink too heavy. October 20th, we are doing a memorial show. Basically, just to be clear, for all of these details, follow Midwest Skies on social media. Go to MidwestSkiesRock.com for tickets and information. With this next one that I'm talking about, I don't know. I can't imagine that it is a private show, but it is a memorial show for a friend of ours that passed away in the music scene. I believe that all of the proceeds are going to be either donated to charity or given to the surviving members of his family. So come and check that out. A handful of bands, Searching for Closure, Bring Your Best, probably a few other bands that I can't remember at this time. October 25th, we are back at Mulligan's. This one will be a Friday night. This one is going to be the debut show for the band Get Better. I think they're friends of James being one of the other members in Midwest Skies, the founding member of Midwest Skies. So that's how we kind of linked up with them. But this is going to be their debut show. And that'll be, like I said, a Friday night, so we can go off. And then we're following that up with our first weekender of 2024. We're going to be in Bowling Green, Ohio for October 26th. So we've got October 25th at Mulligan's. That's a Friday. And then October 26th in Bowling Green, Ohio. A quick aside, the thing that I mentioned being like the biggest thing in my career thus far is going to be happening around November 8th and November 9th, whatever that weekend is. I can't talk about it yet. I'm really excited to talk about that when the time comes. But just keep your eyes peeled because I'll be doing something huge that weekend. And then the only other show that we have locked right now is December 14th at Turnstiles in Grand Rapids. That is our Christmas show. We'll have the bands Bring Your Best, Years Later, maybe even Get Better. Get Better might be at that show as well. I can't remember. I just know that every year we do a Christmas show at the venue Turnstiles. It's months away, so we don't need to get too in the weeds about it, but I know that we'll end up having an ugly sweater contest. There'll be some bar prizes, and we pack that thing up. So one more time, October 3rd at Mulligan's in Grand Rapids. October 20th, that'll be either in Bay City or the Saginaw area. I can't remember. I probably should have those details. I will have them for you by the next episode. October 25th, back at Mulligan's in Grand Rapids. October 26th, we're going to be playing in Bowling Green, Ohio. And then December 14th at Turnstiles in Grand Rapids. I think this episode is going to be short and sweet. Just wanted to do an episode where I told you not to take the word of people you enjoy as the word of God. And I would like you to take that advice as if it were the word of God. Coming from your favorite future millionaire celebrity, David J. Mund. Okay? All right. Check out catandcrew.com, KATANDCREW.com. Enter the promo code MONDAY, that's MUNDAY, for 10% off your first purchase. Cat and Crew being Katie and Andrew, both just got married. I was just at their wedding last week. That was a ton of fun. I am very happy for them. I love them both. They will be back on the podcast soon. They might even be the next guest. I just need to get them officially on the books. I'm going to be hanging out with one John Kelly this evening. I don't think we're podcasting, but I did put out a little call out on the A.D.H.Deep-Dive podcast Instagram saying, what are your hot takes? And he texted me saying, remind me to tell you what my hot takes are. And I said, why don't we just do it in podcast form? But we don't really have the time today. So, all right. Rate, review, subscribe. Follow the podcast on social media. Tell your friends. Take a clip that you have seen, whether it's a vertical clip or just one of the longer clips that I pull from each episode, and just send your favorite one to somebody. You don't have to add any context. You could add context. This podcast isn't about anything. So it's hard sometimes to like tell your friends to engage. I get it. Many of the people who listen know me on a personal basis and they just want to see what I'm up to. That's great too. I am happy for that to be my audience. But if there's a clip out there that exists that you think, this is so quintessentially David, and I think somebody somewhere might enjoy this, just share it. Just send it to your friend. There's probably an episode somewhere that you enjoyed more than others. There's an episode where I talk about alien invasions. Send them that one. There's an episode where I talk about separating from religion. There's a few episodes where I do that. Send them those ones. There's an episode where I talk about how my ass hurt. My stomach hurt. And I was having butt problems. Send them that one. If you have a friend, if you or a loved one are suffering from butt problems, send them that episode. October 3rd, Mulligans. October 20th, I can't remember. Bay City? Saginaw? One of the two. October 25th, back at Mulligans in Grand Rapids. October 26th, Bowling Green, Ohio. December 14th, Turnstiles in Grand Rapids. Stay tuned for new music coming from Midwest Skies. It's so good, and I love it so much. I cannot wait to talk about it more. I love you. This has been the A.D.H. Deep Dive, the show that is not about ADHD, but is filled with proof it exists. My name is David J. Mund, and I'll see you next time.